we obviously saw the end of the World Baseball Classic, and it culminates with Ohtani versus Trout. Now, everyone's got a take on Ohtani versus Trout, and furthermore, the standing of Shohei Ohtani not only in the modern game, but in terms of history and where he may stand. Your clip with Mad Dog has been going viral. We've been talking about it here, Steve. It sounds as if you're a proponent of Shohei being the greatest player in baseball history. Is that true? And,
well, yeah.
And if so, explain where you stand on this.
So here's the thing. He's doing things that nobody else has ever done, including Babe Ruth. And so people put that on Babe Ruth. Now, Ohtani doesn't have the longevity of Ruth, but the reality is Babe Ruth, there's quotes out there. Babe Ruth said, you can't be a pitcher and a player and do both. It's your body can't handle it. Now, Ohtani has the advantage of being a DH, where Babe Ruth didn't have that available to him. But Babe Ruth when he played, there were 8 teams. He played 7 other teams in the American League when he was playing. 7. He didn't travel west of St. Louis when he played, and he didn't play against some of the best Negro League players that were playing then. And so he wasn't playing against all the best players in the world at the time. Where, you look at Ohtani and what he's doing coming over here in the States and what he did in Japan and in Major League Baseball. And, he is doing that against the best. And he's doing it. He's doing what Ruth didn't do. The most starts Ruth made in the season was 20. He didn't. Ruth pitched in 1 game when he went to the Yankees. He didn't pitch. He wasn't a two-way player for the Yankees. He only did it in the 2 years, really, with the Red Sox. And so what Ohtani's doing, nobody else has come close to doing. And, oh, by the way, Babe Ruth didn't throw 102 miles per hour on a 1-2 fastball down and away to Mike Trout. So he's such a unique player, and nobody's ever been able to do what he's doing right now. Now, does that make him the best player ever? He's doing something nobody else has ever done, and he's doing it at an elite level, and Babe Ruth didn't do what he did. Now, Babe Ruth went on to have a long career. He hit a lot of home runs. Chris Russo points out that he hit more home runs than were hit in the league one year. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. But it was like 19 or 20 home runs. It wasn't like a record-setting number. So Babe Ruth was great. And yet, when we try to compare players across generations, it's always across eras, it's a real difficult thing to do. But what I do know is nobody's done what Ohtani's doing, ever. Not even Babe Ruth.
Well, yeah, we've been discussing it a lot as well. And my thing is trying to define what Ohtani is, because everyone uses the same terms, right? He's a unicorn. Right. He's unique. He's doing things we've never seen before. All of that is indisputable. But he's not the greatest hitter of all time. No one thinks that. And he's not the greatest pitcher of all time. No one thinks that. So
right.
It's like impossible to have the conversation because he's a one of one, right? Like Ruth is one thing, but he's not as good as Willie Mays. He's not as good as Barry Bonds or Hank Aaron. And then on the pitching side, you could come up with 20 guys who are a better pitcher than Ohtani easily. Yeah. So I don't know how to define
right. It. Yeah. So he is a Cy Young candidate every year as a pitcher. He is a Cy Young candidate. Some people will the odds are not bad for him as a Cy Young Award winner this year for the American League. He also has a chance to be, as a hitter, be a top home run hitter in the league, and he's that unique combination of power and speed that is so rare as it is and so impactful in the game. Somebody did a story when they tried to figure out, well, who is he? And they came up with he's Zach Wheeler, Carlos Rodon as a pitcher, and he's Bryce Harper as a hitter. Okay, now Bryce Harper is going to be a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. So that was the comparison. So they were trying to figure out what he was going to get paid, but those were the comparisons they gave him as to what he is as a player. And when you think about that combination, that is more valuable and more impactful for any single team than any single player has ever been. Now, we could say Babe Ruth hit 714 home runs, but he wouldn't have if he played against the best players of the day. Mm-hmm. If he played against the Latino players and the black players that were playing in the Negro Leagues, he would never hit 714 home runs. And Ted Williams probably wouldn't have hit 406. And Joe DiMaggio probably wouldn't have had a 56-game hitting streak because they didn't play. All those records and all those performances were done when they weren't playing against Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson and all the black players that were playing in the Negro Leagues back in the day. Now, it doesn't take it away. They were the best players of their era when they played and everything else. But when you look at Ohtani, nobody has impacted the game in the way that he has. Nobody.
No. Like, again, I'm not disputing that, but
Yeah.
forget the old guy. Like, you could just use modern play. Like, at the plate, no one's taking Ohtani over A-Rod. No one's taking Ohtani over Pujols. I'm not.
Right.
Like, he's a great hitter, but he's not better than
right.
Bonds, you know, in his prime.
Right. Yeah, no, I would agree. But it would be like Tom Brady. It would be not Tom Brady. It would be like, who would we say? A great quarterback. It would be, Steve Young.
Is it Eli Manning or something, or Steve Young?
Yeah.
Roethlisberger.
Yeah, or Eli Manning, who won championships and also played linebacker. Right? He's quarterback and linebacker. And he's a Pro Bowl linebacker.
It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, it is crazy. He is the most valuable. I think he's got to be the highest paid. I guess I have a difficult time. It's almost like he's played himself out of the debate, is my point, Steve.
Yeah.
Because you can't compare. Like, Willie Mays didn't throw the ball. Like, he didn't step on the mound and have a 2.50 ERA. Like, it's absurd.
Right.
It's absurd.
Yeah, he's the only one, right? And now, remember the whole Jordan-LeBron debate, it turned into they were both players, but LeBron did things that Jordan never did, right? Because he could go inside, play outside, and everything else. But people always kept saying Jordan. And everybody else would say LeBron. Said, yeah, but LeBron does things Jordan couldn't do. And in that debate and argument, where do you go from there? Because Jordan didn't play the game the same way as LeBron did. Now, this is a little different because it is baseball, and the way we defend in pitch versus hitting is different than the basketball argument. But when players do things that other guys didn't do, it becomes really difficult. How do you compare the greatest hitter of the day versus the greatest pitcher of the day? And who's more valuable? Was it Willie Mays or was it Nolan Ryan over the years? And because they played different positions, we don't know. The reality is that we can compare Ohtani to both those guys and at least have a conversation.
Yeah, it is something else, man. I can't wait to see what he brings. I can't wait to see him hit free agency if he does, because that is going to be a whirlwind.